Could ScoMo win the next election? Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee because, well, Scott Morrison is now the preferred PM. We have a look at this result. 38% of this recent poll are in favour of ScoMo for PM, while only 30% think a man who doesn't know what the unemployment rate or the cash rate is should be PM. Now, there's a lot of apparent, well, in the media at least, hatred to Scott Morrison. But what would you rather? You know, times are pretty good. A lot of people are doing well. There's some uncertainties on the horizon. So would you stick with the buffoon you know, as opposed to the buffoon you don't know? Unemployment is pretty low. Even if you look at the Roy Morgan figures, everyone is trending down. Why would people be bothered to change? Why would they risk a Labour government at a federal level? The further we move away from COVID and lockdowns and the more our lives return to normal, and that people will forget about that. They've got a very short-term memory. Will they take that out against ScoMo? Or do most people not even care? So, I mean, look at this, guys. This is still early in the election. But, yeah, I mean, Scott Morrison, the coalition, could be in with a chance to win another unwinnable election. I don't know. It looks like the miners are going to have a big showing too. But it'd be interesting to see if the coalition had to make an alliance with one of the minor parties to get control of the House of Reps. That would be the best outcome. And to do that, people need to learn how to use their preferences. The fact that UAP is putting preferences for the Greens above Labour and Liberal is irrelevant. You don't need to follow the piece of paper that they give you. No one's going to care. It's completely within your control. And I would encourage most people to look at a minor party that they align with. No one's going to be perfect, and support them, even if you don't think there's a chance that they will win, because that will help them get funding. That will the big two, the big three, even the Greens, they don't need funding. The minor parties do this stuff on a shoestring budget. So if they reach over a certain percentage of votes, they'll get a few dollars for each vote they get. That will help offset the costs for them to run, for them to put candidates up. So that's how you need to think about it. Don't think your vote is worth money to those parties. If you give it to them, you will help support the minor parties. So you need to pick who you want to vote for. Don't put any of the majors as your first preference. It's a waste of money. They don't need the money. Give it to a minor, and then bookmark or bookend your vote on the ballot with a major that you want. At the very least, then you're financially supporting a smaller party that needs that help. That you'd be surprised how these smaller parties cobble this shit together, honestly. So let's have a look at this article I want to discuss. And this is from news.com.au. And, well, betting odds have changed. So forget opinion polls. It's what the bookies are saying. That's what really matters. All the rest is bullshit. Anyway, so the coalition has made a stunning turnaround. Well, I wouldn't say the coalition has made a stunning turnaround. I'd say Albanese has made a huge blunder, and people don't have much tolerance for that. I mean, come on. Someone who wants to be PM doesn't know what the cash rate is when it's at insanely low rates. Or the target. He just needs to know the target. It's the lowest it's ever been, ever in the history of the entire country. How would someone not know that in politics at his level? Wouldn't you read the paper? Wouldn't you be up on the news? It hasn't moved in how bloody long? So, yeah, that's a blunder. That is a blunder. And not knowing the unemployment rate, well, you can't blame him. Labour only wants the unemployment rate to be high, so then there's a reason for you to vote for them. That's what it is. A lot of people are going to stay with the status quo. You know? And you've got to think, if you think, no, everyone hates ScoMo, everyone is against him, everyone will vote out the coalition. Yeah, you got to perhaps broaden the circle of friends or your social media that you're consuming. There are a lot of people that will just, stick with it. The odds that the coalition regaining government dropped from $3.15 to $1.80 in just over a week, with two bookmakers making them narrow favourites. So you even have some bookmakers putting the coalition ahead of Labour. In the run-up to the election, polls consistently showed Labour in the lead, but they are slipping away from him too. There we go. I mean, oh boy, any other $67. So there you go. If you think there's going to be a surprise win, $1.80 for the coalition, $1.90 for Labour. Okay. I mean, if Labour lose this election, if they lose it, even if it's close, this is going to be a terrible embarrassment for them. It's going to be insanely embarrassing. They'll have to get rid of Albanese. Who else are they going to put in? The initial slide away from Labour began on Monday when Anthony Albanese could not recall the Reserve Bank's cash rate and the unemployment rate, which saw betting odds slightly soften towards the coalition. More gaffes from Albanese have seen odds continue to slide in Morrison's favour. This marks a big turnaround from last week when returns on selected gambling sites were as follows. So there you go, 230 to 160. So the coalition the odds were against them. And now they're favoured to win by some bookies. It's still early in the election, guys. There's still a lot of stupid gaffes and mistakes that can happen. So what else? Easter Monday. There you go, guys. There you go. So they've got coalition ahead, even, coalition ahead, Labour ahead, coalition ahead, Labour ahead. So, wow. There is some debate as to which of the two groups, punters or opinion polls, are more authoritative and accurate. Yeah, well, that's the point, guys. Hang on, wait a minute. Wow. In his book, Luck of Politics, then academic and current sitting Labour MP Andrew Lee said that punters can hold their own against opinion polls. Every time, betting markets are found to perform at least as well and usually better than the polls, he wrote. However, election blogger and analyst Peter Brent disagrees, telling the Herald Morning Sun in 2016 that the collective wisdom of gamblers tends to dawdle behind the polls, in effect taking cues from opinion polls to inform their bets. This is further complicated by how gambling agencies calculate their odds. Sportsbets told news.com.au the federal poll goes into how it calculates odds in its bets. We take into account lots of things, namely previous elections, state elections, redistribution, opinion polls, individual issues, and candidates. It's a bit of everything when combined with overall federal polling. When we set odds, a lot is mostly derived from previous election polling. I mean, yeah, remember that, guys? Remember that last election that shortened? Well, there you go. In 2019, Sportsbet had to fork out $5.2 million after mistakenly calling early a Labour win 2 days before the election was called in favour of the coalition. In a way, the House always wins. There you go. So, guys, could ScoMo pull it off again? Could we have another coalition government? Let's have a talk about that. It looks like Labour is doing everything they can to help us retain our coalition government. We'll have to see how this goes. I'm sure we'll have a huge showing for minor candidates, but the issue is it's going to be so dispersed. Some people don't even know how to use their preferences. So I would stop fantasizing that Clive Palmer is going to be the next Prime Minister or Craig Kelly. And the fact that they've got such a hodgepodge of policies from all sides of politics, particularly for the UAP. Now they want to get rid of HECS. They want to have student debt forgiveness in Australia. That's such an American thing. Yeah, okay. I get the feeling he's just trying to harvest votes. What do you reckon, guys? Do you think we'll have a coalition victory at this next election? Or do you think Labour will creep in? Or is it too early to tell? Let me know your thoughts on this one in the comments down below, guys. Thank you all for watching. If you're a fan and enjoy the content I find and put together here, there are a few ways you can help out. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. Use our referral links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband. Or if you need an architect, give us a call. We do a lot of education, resource, and commercial work. Take care, guys. I'll see you next time. And one thing's for sure, this is going to be a bloody entertaining election. What else can Albanese come back from this? Can he come back from it? He's not even answering all questions anymore. Is it too late? Well, there you go. You got